Meeting ready to jump on the order for the business day. Can you do a roll call?
Your worship, I can confirm that all members of council are present in attendance in council chambers except for Councilman Lewis. Following staff members are participating remotely. Record of fire. Record of public service. Sweden and record of meetings for the public.
Thank you. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general interest thereof. None. The minutes from November 19th was waiting here for vision. Mover and second in the minutes.
I'll move.
Second. And mover, all in favor? Next, we have the quarter revisions. So I need a mover and second. The council of Township of Valentine is hereby appoint the following members to serve on the quarter revision for the Leonard Jones Green, Mayor General Chair, Deputy Mayor Tony Gare, and Councilor Chester Linsky. So move and second. Ritter, Serna, all in favor? Carried. This is for those members who were on the quarter revision to the Leonard Jones Green to call to order. 7:31. And the next name of the appointed chair. Moved by Linsky, second by Gare, all in favor? Carried. So, Andrew's there. Can you give us a proposed, base of the proposed grading plan?
Good evening, Mayor and councilors and staff. This is the Leonard Jones Municipal Drain. It is the first of two related municipal drains I'll speak to you about tonight. Again, it is the result of a petition for drainage signed by Leonard Jones under Section 4 of the Drainage Act, brought about by a condition of severance. The project is located on the west side of Imperial Road, south of Bradley Creek Line, and north of Conservation Line. The new drain consists of about 400 meters of 375 millimeter tile, 54 meters of 250 millimeter diameter, 3 manholes, and 4 catch basins. The initial cost of construction is borne entirely by the developer, Mr. Leonard Jones, and assessment has been allotted for maintenance based on use and area of each individual lot and surrounding land draining into the drain. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. Diana, for any comments or objections? Anyone in attendance want to make comments? Any comments for those on the quarter revision? The mover and seconder, the quarter revision members for the Leonard Jones Drain, we hereby accept the recommendation from the drain engineer and the bases who take the consulting engineers. Further, the hereby confirm the drainage assessment as outlined in the report of the drain engineer dated September 2020. So mover and seconder for that, Gare and Linsky, all in favor. And finally, the quarter revision related to Leonard Jones Street, the insurance council reconvened, 7:34. Chair, Linsky, all in favor. And we have another one for Mr. Jones. So we need to move in the second council of Township of Valentine is hereby appoint the following members to sit on the quarter revision. This is a good one.
It's the Leonard Jones extension.
Extension, okay. To sit on the Leonard Jones Green extension. Mayor Demel Chair, Deputy Mayor Tony Gare, and Chester Linsky. Move in second for that.
Move it.
Mover. Second. Serna, all in favor? Those on the committee, mover and second, quarter revision, Leonard Jones Drain Extension, call to order, 7:55. Chair, Lucy, all in favor? So Andrew, once again, can you give us a brief outline?
This is the Leonard Jones Drain Extension. We are on the east side of the road, directly across the road from the one I just spoke about. Again, it is comes about from a petition of drainage under Section 4 of the Drainage Act, signed by Mr. Leonard Jones. And again, it's the result of the condition of severance. This time it was lots on the east side of the road. It consists of 25 meters of 375 diameter tile, 89 meters of 300 diameter, another 139 meters of 250, and another 53 meter of catch basin connections. There's a total of 3 manholes and 11 catch basins in this part of the drain. Again, the cost of construction is borne entirely by the developer, Mr. Leonard Jones. Construction is complete on both of these drains. Assessment is based, maintenance assessment is based on area draining into the lots and use of the lots. There is some agricultural land that still drains coming in from the east side of the lots that still use this drain as drainage. And again, that's all I got tonight.
Okay, thank you. Diana, was there any comments or objections?
No comments.
Anybody in attendance? Any questions from members of the court of revision? Mover and second, the court of revision members for the Leonard Jones Drain will hereby accept the recommendation from the drainage engineer and on the basis of the consultant. Further, is hereby confirmed the drainage assessment as outlined in the report of the drainage engineer dated September 30th, 2020. There, Lindsay, in favor? Court of revision relating to Leonard Jones Drain Extension be adjourned, council reconvene. 7:37. Seconded. There, Lindsay, in favor? Next, we have a zoning classification for zoning of surplus fire dwelling with lots of general agriculture A2 zone, small lot agriculture A4 zone, and retained parcel in the special A2 zone by David and Jacqueline Fair on lot 34, concession 9. This will be known as 5.2550 Collins Drive. We need to move in the second of public meeting concerning the zoning bylaw amendment for application of David and Jacqueline Fair. Reading the property will take lot 34, concession 9, if you call to order. 7:39, seconder. Linder, Lindsay, on favor? Diana, can you advise confirm the date, method, date of notice, please?
Your worship, notice of the meeting was given in the prescribed manner by publication in the Elmer Express on November 11th, 2018. In addition, affected property owners within 120 meters were sent a notice by prepaid first class mail posted 20 days prior to the meeting.
Thank you. Adam, can you give us notice?
Thank you, Your Worship. The subject zoning bylaw amendment to satisfy one of the conditions imposed by the county document managers committee for consent to several residency with respect to farming consolidation as per the managers committee application number E22 2020. The residence to be severed as frontage and access on the college line. I've reviewed the materials submitted through the township by Monday Brown and consultant. I have no concerns or I support the recommendation for the zoning bylaw amendment. The draft bylaw in front of the council this evening does include a provision for a deficient lot area for an undersized
received from outside agencies?
Your worship, one letter from Packers Creek Conservation Authority with no objections.
Anyone in attendance? Any questions from council? No. Moving to second public meeting relating to zoning bylaw amendment application of David Jacqueline Fair relating to property located lot 34, concession land. The adjourned council reconvened, 7:40. Second, together, Trevor, all in favor? Finally, we'll check the number 20-79, the environmental amendment zoning bylaw 1922. This environmental relates to property owned by David Jacqueline Fair, located lot 34, concession land, in the first second issue, property signs. Let's meet. Next, we have another rezoning, purpose of public meeting concerning a zoning bylaw amendment application of the Pickler Farms relating to property located at lot 24, concession column. We'll be moving secondary that we move into public meetings. Let's meet over there. Purpose of the public meeting is to change the zoning of surplus land dwelling lot from large agricultural A3 zone to small lot agricultural A4 zone and retain parcel of special agricultural A2 zone. Applicant's name is Pickler Farms Limited, part lot 24, concession 12, municipality of 46634 109. And can you confirm and advise the recommendation of the
Your worship, notice of the meeting was given in the prescribed manner by publication in the Amber Express on November 11th, 2022. In addition, affected property owners within 120 meters were sent a notice by prepaid first-class mail posted 20 days prior to the meeting.
Okay, Adam, can you give us an overview?
Thank you, Your Worship. So this subject to a file amendment is another application in order to satisfy conditions imposed by the county for the settlement of residents being surplus as a result of farm consolidation. The resident has access off of Ron McNeil via line. If council directors go ahead to the draft file, it does include a special provision that allows for a reduced setback for an existing barn. If we look at the aerial photo that's in the agenda package, there does appear to be two an old bank farm and a concrete silo, as well as another accessory agricultural building in proximity to the house being severed. The bank farm and the concrete silo has since been removed. It doesn't currently photo, it's no longer there. The setback written to the bylaw is for that accessory agricultural structure that still remains. I have reviewed the material submitted by Monkey Wrap Out in terms of comments with regard to their planning report, and I do support the recommendation. So unless there's any questions from councilors or members of those in the audience, there's nothing further to add.
Thank you, Adam. Van, is there any comments received from outside agencies from landowners?
The worship correspondence was received from Packers Creek Conservation Authority and neighboring property owner Mark Steenbergen, both with no objections.
Thank you. Anything to add, Mr. Good? Any questions from council? Mover and second public meeting relating to zoning bylaw amendment application of Pickler Farms Limited relating to property located lot 24, concession follow. We adjourn, the council will convene. 7:44. Secretary. Together, mover, all in favor? Finally, move the second bylaw number 20-77, being the bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1822. Insofar as the right to property owned by Pickler Farms Limited. Again, lot 34, concession 12, between the first, second, third gate, property signs. Mover, liquor, all in favor? We have one more public meeting movement and seconder. Public meeting concerning the zoning bylaw amendment application for Robert and Jean and Jason Nicholson. The property located at block 12 and section 5. Call to order at 7:45. Winner and Gary Fisher. Purpose of the public meeting is to change zoning of small parcel to be severed and merged with rural residential zone to specific rural residential zone. Applicant is Robert G. and Jason Nicholson, lot 12 and section 5. Used to be known as 49542 and 49664 on my farm. Diana, can you advise confirm method date and post?
Your worship, notice of the meeting was given in the prescribed manner by publication in the Elmer Express on November 11th and 18th. In addition, the affected property owners within 120 meters present notice by three papers, class mail, posted company privately.
Adam, you can show me, please.
The subject zoning bylaw amendment is again proposed as a condition of severance imposed by the county land use committee. This isn't a surplus farm or severance application, but rather a rural residential divided a lot in margin. So one of the conditions required for the applicant being the bylaw recognizing the large parcel and recognizing the efficient setback of an existing accessory structure to the resident. So unless council or building dependent have any questions, nothing further to the report for the bylaw. I do support the recommendation and approach to draft bylaw.
Thank you. Diana's info received from outside agencies, landowners.
Worship, correspondence was received from Packers Creek Conservation Authority with no objections.
Any questions for council? Okay, mover and seconder, public meeting to commit the zoning bylaw amendment application of Robert G. and Jason Nicholson related to property lot 12 and section 5. Adjourned, council meeting 7:47. Secretary Linder, with you. Finally, move to the second bylaw number 20-78, the bylaw, then zoning bylaw for 1822. As insofar as it relates to property owned by Robert G. and Jason Nicholson, located lot 12 and section 5, into the first second tier green property zones. Sorry, I'm Gary, all in favor?
Thanks for letting me know that's what that.
Okay, Brent.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. I have one report before you this evening, and that is for the ice-breaking services contract for Port Bruce, tendered on our behalf by Catfish Creek Conservation Authority. We're recommending, after a little bit further investigation this year, and of course, all the mitigation work that was done in Port Bruce as part of our harbor work done over the last year, that this year we go away a little bit from using the drag line and use a long reach excavator. I had the Director of Public Works involved in this, and Matt and I were able to develop some questions regarding or any concerns that we may have of the difference between the long reach excavator and the drag line. And we were able to get very satisfactory answers from who we're proposing or who we're recommending to move forward with, Lamers Excavating. It's obviously a considerable savings to the municipality to go with a long reach excavator as opposed to using a drag line. And I believe everything else is contained within the report, including copies of the tender. And I would be happy to answer any questions council might have.
Okay. Thank you, Brent. Certainly, that's his move-in time will be much quicker than the drag line. We have to have it stationary there for a number of months. Questions for Brent?
Mayor, can you hear me, Brent?
Yes, but you'll have to speak up, Councillor Widner. I do hear you, but barely.
Just had a question. The excavator, do we still have the same height frame as that regular?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch.
Big of a sheet. The,
He was wondering if it had the same reach.
same power, break up ice and that you were.
Okay, so- Yeah, so and that was absolutely one of the questions that we asked of the contractor. So the ice breaking capability of the drag line is to drop its bucket from its elevated position down onto the ice. And that was our concern with the long reach being able to be as effective. At 60 feet, the long reach excavator that we would be using has a downforce of 30 tons. And in addition to that, the bucket that it uses has quite long picks or teeth, I guess, in it. And Mr. Lamers had mentioned that he's had no difficulty whatsoever in breaking through 24 inches of ice with the downforce of the pressure by the excavator and that particular bucket. The other question, I guess, that we had, their concern was the ability to move as much ice. And of course, the excavator can operate much quicker than the drag line can. And the ability to grab a larger piece of ice and curl its bucket and take it out of position, or in fact, push it under, where the bucket of the drag line has a hoop over top of it and all it can actually scoop is smaller ice rather than those larger pieces. So those were the concerns, I guess, that we had, echoing what you just asked, and that we did propose to Mr. Lamers, and both Matt and myself were satisfied with the answers he was able to give us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Brent, you said earlier in our conversation, discussion, that if the long reach can't get all the way across the channel, that he has a way of making waves or whatever to bust up the ice and then it'll float to him. Do you want to explain that?
Yeah, I certainly can.
You hear that, Brent?
Given that its maximum reaches between 60 and 75 feet, and we're normally dealing with 85 to 90 to the extent of the breakwater from the harbor wall, or from the pier rather. Mr. Lamers, again, who's had considerable experience doing this both with us before in Port Burwell and also in Port Stanley, had said where he can't reach, where he breaks up ice, he simply puts the boom in the bucket into the water, moving it back and forth and up and down vigorously to create a wake, which in turn breaks the ice away from the break wall and moves it into position for him to grab it and remove it.
Okay, thanks, Brent. Any other questions for Brent? So, it works out, Brent, certainly there's considerable saving going forward. So I need moving second report number F-2014 entitled Emergency Management Ice Breaking Services be received. The Valentine Township is to benefit the municipality in conjunction with the Capital Street Conservation Authority. It's hereby accept the quotation submitted by Leonard Excavating to provide ice breaking service in Portland from January 1 to March 31st, 2021. The Capital Street Conservation Authority requested to notify Leonard Excavating that the long arm excavator remain on site import routes from January 1 to March 31st, 2021, at a cost of $2,500 per month, plus $500 to move in, plus taxes, and a working hourly rate is 97 hours. Nor and Sorna on favor.
That is quite a conservative statement, because at one point we had both the drag line there and Lane. So Lane can do the job of what they're doing actually. It's a perfect situation to get it up, and especially this time of year, we save a lot of.
Well, not only that, I think going forward, I think this year is an experiment, but going forward, it works well. Laborers can be there in an hour.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to be there.
Well, especially too that they've taken that all the trees out and everything around then.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I have one report for you this evening relating to the tender award for the new tandem dump truck. This purchase was included in the 2021 draft capital budget as part of the fleet replacement plan, and staff received prior authorization from council to tender early due to the very long lead time on a product like this, which is estimated at about 12 months following the award. So accordingly, staff tendered for one tandem dump truck complete with winter control equipment in late October. We did receive 4 bids ranging from $353,700 to $371,500. Now, the lowest 2 bids that we received did not meet the specifications for the tender. So accordingly, staff are recommending awarding to the 3rd place bid from Team Truck Centers of London for supply of the specified unit for a purchase price of $356,300. This award price is $6,300 above the estimate included in the 2021 capital budget, but there are sufficient funds in the capital equipment reserve to fund the complete purchase. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Brent. When could we expect delivery?
The delivery is expected, well, we're putting a push trying to get it by December of 2021 in anticipation of the next winter season.
Okay. Questions? Yes?
Mayor, I was just wondering, the 2 bids at the bottom are from the same company, and the cost of it is going to have more, so that's the included possibly in the list. So I don't think this is much of a competition as far as tendering. It's like the left hand tendering against the right hand. We're talking about team trucks, but vehicles. Whether why there is someone else personally that would be able to supply what we need.
You hear that,
It was a bit broken up there, but I believe the question was relating to how wide the tender was spread for the ability to receive bids from multiple suppliers. That there were a number of bids received from what appears to be the same supplier. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So yes, yes, I can confirm that the tender was put out similar to past tenders that received similar results. It is a very public tender that get checked often. It's a specialty product that there's not a lot of competition out there, I should say, that would be offering this. So the bids that we did receive were from the suppliers that we would have expected to bid on this.
Thanks, Matt. Any other questions from us? Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do you hear me, Matt?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Are we going to get extended warranty with this truck? That's typically something we always do. Much warranty as we can.
I do believe that the extended warranty is included. I can follow up on the bid results and get back to you on that to confirm.
Okay. And you all electronics and machine. Get as much as you can. And with this truck, we're going to be on one less truck in the future. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. The purchase of this truck includes a slide-in brine unit, which allows us to reduce our fleet by 1 truck.
Next one. Just a good one.
Well, we just know what's like a single bidder or what we're looking for. I was just wondering if anyone else was looking at this as being a single bid. Same company, team truck, they're bidding against themselves. So are we pursuing the tender requirement by going with the same tender?
Well, that's what Matt indicated, that we put out the request for tenders, and like you said, this is not a market where you get a lot of competition. So we've got all the process, and we only have basically 1 bidder, but, much competitive, and almost within budget. So that's what all we can do. Any other questions? All right, we'll move to second report on the D-20-55 entitled tender award tender, dump, truck, complete with motor control equipment to be received. Bid received from Team Truck Centers of London, Ontario, in the amount of $356,300 plus taxes, for the purchase of one new tandem dump truck, complete with motor control equipment to be accepted. Winner, Sarah, all in favor, opposed? Michelle, you're doing the, any item by law?
Yes, your worship. Through you, I have one report for council's consideration this evening, and this is a follow-up to a report that was submitted at the last council meeting. Council had provided some feedback to staff on the draft anti-idling bylaw at the last meeting and suggested that the idling time restriction should be extended to no more than 7 consecutive minutes in a 60-minute period. So the draft bylaw has been revised to amend that particular provision. For comparison purposes as well, staff did conduct a review of 26 other municipal anti-idling bylaws to determine what time restrictions were applied in those other municipalities. And the results are included in the report, but they range from typically 1, 2, 3, or 5 minutes, with the vast majority being at the 3-minute time mark that was recommended at the last meeting. As well, council did survey the other municipalities in Elgin County to determine who also had an anti-idling bylaw and what their provisions were. At this point, the only municipality that has responded to indicate that they do also have such a bylaw is West Elgin, and that time restriction is 5 consecutive minutes per 60-minute period. There are a number of exemptions that are included in the draft bylaw. Those have not changed since the list that you had at the last meeting, and there was a question as well about enforcement. And as council is aware, the current practice to enforce municipal bylaws is based on complaint, and that would be staff's intention to adopt the same approach for this proposed bylaw, utilizing our existing staff and our contracted bylaw enforcement officers as necessary. Staff are recommending the draft anti-idling bylaw, and if council is considered or is comfortable with the revised provisions, we would be seeking that direction to finalize it and bring it forward for adoption at your next meeting.
Thank you, Michelle. Questions for Michelle? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wondering on the practicality of enforcement. So if I call to complain about someone idling near me, by the time I don't know what the response rate is on. Just wondering about the logistics and what kind of evidence would someone have to provide to show that yes, if someone was idling for some time. So if I'm the complainant, do I have to report the time and the stop time? And how does it work?
Through your worship, I'll maybe give an example of an existing bylaw that we have. And so for example, we have a noise bylaw, and one of the provisions in there includes dogs barking excessively. So somebody would call the municipality, lodge their complaint, express their concerns, and the municipal staff or bylaw enforcement officer would visit the property and have a conversation. It's not necessarily going to be that the dog is still barking when that staff member arrives, but that doesn't mean we wouldn't follow up on it. So our first approach, of course, is to seek voluntary compliance to all of our bylaws. So it's a matter of educating the public and responding about what the provisions are, reminding them what their responsibilities are. And I will be quite honest, in probably 95 or higher % of time, people just aren't aware of the situation. And then when they are advised by staff or the bylaw enforcement officer, in most instances, we've gained compliance. There are some situations where that doesn't happen, and we end up with repeat occurrences, at which time then there would be a more active investigation undertaken to determine that. But we wouldn't necessarily be looking to lay a charge or a fine on a first occurrence. But this bylaw would be intended to, in my opinion, as staff would be to provide the guidance and to then allow us the opportunity to be able to educate and then move to enforcement if that isn't successful. But it's like most of our other bylaws, we don't necessarily lay charges when there's been a breach of some other bylaw. We usually attempt to educate and get voluntary compliance at that point.
Mayor, just in response to the question. At the beginning of the year, I think the fact now everybody can hold a cell phone in the pocket and record. So what do we have pretty good evidence. I think we've gone a realistic approach to this from time to time. I think it'll be a direct having a big vehicle or whatever stop it. Now, you're right, I think a lot of it's education. I know one last week had no idea we were allowed to do it, so I think it's a happy medium. I hope it works.
Any other questions or comments? Mover and second report number CAO-20-19 entitled draft island, anti-island bylaw be received. Amended draft anti-island bylaw be supported and presented. The municipal clerk will direct the finalize the draft bylaw for submission to and approved by the council of future days. Vernon, Linder, all in favor? Next, we have correspondence. I was at an earlier meeting and former director of Capital Street was there and was hoping that council would endorse number 7. I'm sure you're aware of this.
Yes.
He indicated that the conservation authorities were blindsided and were unaware of this coming, and certainly it takes a lot of the authority away from the conservation authorities. We're quite concerned about it. I'll let you add anything to that.
Just the fact, Mayor, that we're trying to cut conservation authorities' authority, and you're taking away our right to appeal, you're doing everything you're doing to people that really don't know what's going on. I mean, we know the science. I mean, we have people on staff that know the science and everything like that. That can say, oh, no, you can't do that. If you're bypassing us, there's also the fact that if there's an appeal process, the authorities aren't allowed to participate. They're just bypassing us. You're just trying to cut it. And it's not right, it's not fair, and we're trying to get them to reseal that section of these new rules. Okay?
Well, certainly, I know Kim's retired, but I think he's hard to still with the conservation.
Oh, big time.
He's very, very concerned this is going down.
He's still covered up once. Yeah, he does.
Anything else, obviously, I'm going to ask you to support that, okay?
Oh, big time.
Okay. Anything else you wish to comment on? Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to discuss number 2, Council Powell, resolution requesting province to one interest rate for Calgary of 4%. I don't know how many people in our municipality get Calgary loans from the government to show for that.
Yeah, Your Worship, through you, it's been a number of years since we've had any of these because typically the interest rate has been substantially higher than bank rates. So it hasn't been financially to their advantage to be able to proceed with a title drain loan through the municipality. So I believe there was 1 or 2 the first couple of years that I was here. So I'm going to say that it's probably been 9 or 10 years since we had one of these applications. And again, I believe that it is the current bank interest rates. It's just more financially economical for them to pursue other avenues of loans.
So 4% may be more appealing to environmental. That's
Yes, well, certainly, I think it should be realistic. What is it right now, Joe? 26?
I think it's actually 8, Your Worship, although I'm not positive of that. It is,
8%.
it is significantly higher than, yeah.
6.
6? Okay, my apologies. I knew it was significantly higher, that's for sure.
That's still high. 6%.
Okay, we're endorsing number 2 and number 7. Any other ones you wish to comment on those? So endorsing 2 and 7 and receiving final and ballot. So we do move and second and move by Sarah, the leader, all in favor?
outlined in council's agenda, the Fort Bruce Ratepayers Association has submitted a request for council's consideration to convert the temporary boat ramp as a public launch site for non-motorized watercraft. Currently, as council is aware, that particular stretch of the road, as well as the temporary boat ramp, is currently under the jurisdiction of the county of Elgin, as they have assumed that roadway from the township in order to facilitate the installation of the temporary bridge. However, that is going to be returned back to the municipality in the not too distant future. Staff would like an opportunity to review this request a little bit further and come back to council with a report outlining any conditions or specifications or any concerns that might have to be addressed if this was to be proceeded with. And so our recommendation is to refer it back to staff, and we'll come back with a report to council at a future meeting.
Thank you. Questions from Michelle?
Maybe a question. My understanding is when they put the temporary boat on, and it was for a 2-year term, and that was it.
Your worship, through you, there wasn't a specific term. It was put in to facilitate the installation of the permanent bridge. It was hoped it wouldn't take more than 2 years, but there wasn't a finite timeline in it. If the bridge took longer for whatever reason, it was going to be allowed to continue until such time as the temporary bridge was able to be removed, which was subject to the permanent one being installed. And one of the conditions that M&R had indicated at that time was that it needed to be restored and the boat launch, the temporary boat ramp be removed. That was a condition of M&R being allowing it to continue. And those were the conditions at that point in time, your worship. However, it doesn't mean that there couldn't be further dialogue and consideration given. Right now, the conditions are such that it wouldn't allow it to continue. But if council is interested in considering the idea, then my recommendation is to refer it back to staff to see what needs to be done. Or if council thinks that that isn't something that at this stage they're really open to at this point, then certainly, I would seek that direction from council this evening as well.
I think we're wise to put it back to staff and then get back to the report next week.
Through Mr. Mayor, I would like to see, like, it's there, we spent a lot of money putting it there. I don't know why all of a sudden when the bridge, big bridge is fixed, we have to pull it out of the water. Why do we utilize it?
Well, that's why we're giving back to staff and
Well,
research.
I think we should approach NR and say, hey, look, it's there, fish have learned to swim around it. Okay, and let's keep there, you know what, donate to Chapter Street, and we'll run it over.
That's why we want to have staff do some research.
Well, that's a suggestion.
And your worship, sorry, just to clarify, the township didn't invest any funds into this particular construction of the boat launch. That was done through the county.
But you're right in the way, but we contribute to the county.
Yes,
So in effect, it's our land, right?
not currently, but it will be returned to us.
Okay, but it was our land.
Correct,
And the county paid to put the thing in there.
correct.
And the county levied us for money. So partially, we paid for it.
No,
It's our land, and we helped pay for it.
and I
So
understand that.
why get rid of it? It's there. It doesn't make sense to me to build something to tear it down 2 years later.
Check the thing out, see where we're going.
I'll run the damn boat.
That's why we want to have staff go back and do a thorough research on this.
Okay, well, it's my suggestion that we do that.
Okay.
If I may add, Mr. Mayor, that yes, we need to coordinate with the county. There are agreements that have been signed by the county with M&R. There's even, I believe it's to the tune of over $200,000 saved for the restoration, so in other words, removing the boat launch. So,
See, I'm trying to save you money.
so yes, so I agree with that. So obviously we want to make sure that we do this research in advance of the county starting the restoration and starting to spend that part of the budget. So we will
I
coordinate.
think we should keep it. Well,
They have a thorough discussion when they come back and report from staff. Okay,
it would be a good one.
mover and second, correspondence received from Partners Rotary Association regarding the proposal for a launch and for use for an unauthorized watercraft and refer to municipal staff for further review and consideration of report made by the municipal council of engineers. Move it. Brewer and Jared, all in favor?
And your worship, through the next item under other business, is similar to what you supported previously. This is with respect to the Conservation Authority Act changes. This is correspondence from Kettle Creek Conservation Authority, also seeking the municipality's support.
Same theme as we were with the catfish conservation, we're all in the same boat. Any questions from Michelle? Moving to second, correspondence received from the Kettle Creek Conservation Authority dated November 19, 2020. Requesting Secretary to remove section 6 of Bill 229, allow for wartime and communication, other regulation, and communication hours, proposed changes that address issues raised in the February 2020 multi-state consultation is supported. A copy of this correspondence before the figure done for Kettle Creek Conservation Authority, Town of Honolulu, Township of Mesa, East County, Gray, Highlands, and Town of Shell. Over. Lord, servant, all in favor? Okay, any other business? Rick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess because I took a strip off of Chief Horvath's butt one time, made a favor, thank you. I just want to say that I'm glad to see that they're finally moving forward, laying charges against these people that break the law, that have no regard for anybody else's health. And I'm glad to see that things are happening. And I just want to, my hats off to the Elmer Police Department for finally moving along. And I just want to mention too that I was watching YouTube the other day, and I see Henry Hildebrand now on YouTube. And he's actually showing his services on YouTube. And I actually watched it. I did. And he got out there, and he's got these little Bible quotes and everything. But the entire half hour that he was doing this was basically about COVID-19. He's walking around with his sons all laminated and this, that, and next. And it just, I don't understand where a pastor can get so confused. They never said one prayer, not one prayer through the whole thing. And he was just fixated on the Charter Rights of Freedom. And he's doing a little Bible course. And the only Bible course I can come up in my mind, and I'm not a religious guy, believe me, okay? But the only thing I could come up with afterwards was from Proverbs, where it says, out of the mouth of fools babbleth folly. And it fits into it. And I just wanted to say that because I cannot believe this man is trying to destroy this area. He's going on and on about, like, how hard is it to put one of these on? Not very. And I just can't get over how they're going on with that. But I just want to, like I said, hats off to the Armed Police for finally doing the right thing. And let's hope this slows them down, because it's really, really hurting.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Anything else on your other business?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to take the opportunity to highlight the Terrace Lodge fundraising campaign that we kicked off on Tuesday. And we survived. As I mentioned during the ceremony, we picked the worst possible conditions. We specifically arranged for that because we wanted to show our commitment for the redevelopment project. So the fundraising has started. I'm counting on all of you. We know that it's we have funding for a state-of-the-art facility, but it's not called a long-term care facility. It's called a long-term care home. So we wanted to feel like a home, to look like a home, to be a home for the residents. So the campaign has been set up as a catalog so that you can go online, the items that we need to add to Ferris Log so that it will be like, so we're talking about anything from a can of paint with more attractive colors all the way to items for the courtyard, like a gazebo and a water feature, and everything in between. So I know at this time of year, many of us are in the spirit of giving. It's been a tough year, and we all need to need some retail therapy, and we all love catalog shopping, the good old days. So I would say we actually have a solution for you, so we can help each other. So you go online, you go shopping, you select the item, and you make your donation, and we have 3 years to buy all of these items. I'm counting on all of you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, we're all.
Thank you, Dominique, and I want to attest how, in fact, I want to congratulate the team for making this online shopping so easy. I can do it, and I had no problem whatsoever. It prints out the receipt, everything is done in one pass, and so I was quite impressed. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Well, no, Dr. Chester.
And if I may add, I would like to personally thank you for your Judy's donations. So not only the mayor pro the catalog, that is in fact very easy to use. They've agreed to buy a stained glass for the chapel. So one of the big ticket items. It's much appreciated. Thank you for hopefully others will follow.
You can do what you got, man.
Mark?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the business. I guess Saturday is going to be a little bit of a Christmas celebration. We'll be a drive-through, similar to whatever we had, and then we'll be a Santa drive-through around. It was very nice. We need a chance to smile this year. It's happening. It's been a tough year. And so she's inviting everybody to come out. Do the best we can. Just a reminder for everyone, it'd be great. We need something.
Anything else under other business? Okay, bylaws. Mover and seconder bylaw number 20-80 being a bylaw to amend regulations of off-road vehicles to give the first, second, third reading proper silence. Third, Ritter, all in favor? Moving second bylaw number 20-82 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number resolution of the township of Malahide to delete the reference to the director of physical services to give the first, second, third reading proper signing and sealing. You want to explain that, Michelle, because not everybody understands.
Your worship, certainly. With the reorganization and the renaming of the Department of Physical Services to the Department of Public Works, we now have Matt Sweetman, who is now the Director of Public Works. There are a number of bylaws that reference the previous, or that still currently do, reference the Director of Physical Services having direct responsibilities in order to be able to deliver certain services, to enforce certain bylaws, to provide direction and take action. So at the recommendation of our solicitor, it was recommended that we pass an encompassing bylaw that essentially would recognize the change in title, so that in the event that we ever had to move forward with enforcing any of our bylaws, there wouldn't be any additional challenges when we got to potentially a court situation where our bylaw didn't reference the exact individual that may have moved forward with particular action or enforcement activities. So this has been recommended by our solicitor, and staff also are recommending this be proceeded.
Okay, thank you, sir. Move and second for that one, then, please. Sir, mover, all in favor? And you explain the electronic participation as well, Michelle?
Certainly, Your Worship. Council will recall that earlier this year, we did pass a bylaw when we became in the province declared an emergency situation that allowed us to participate and hold meetings electronically, and in our case, it was via Zoom. And I brought a report back to council in September and sought direction whether or not that was something you only wanted to to undertake for electronic participation during bona fide declared emergencies, or whether this is something you thought would be beneficial to continue with even after the emergency is no longer. Council at that time provided directions to staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to allow us to continue to participate electronically and to allow for members of council that are participating electronically to be counted for purposes of quorum and all of those other things. So I have prepared that amendment, which basically is the same provisions that were in place previously, other than now it isn't tied to the declaration of emergency. Council will be able to continue to participate over various electronic means and still be counted in the case of quorum and being able to vote both in open and closed sessions as we have been doing currently during the declared emergency.
Okay, thank you, Joe. And certainly, we've discussed this before, and I agree with the avenue that allows, now that we've proven that we can do this and do it effectively, if you're not feeling well or just don't want to leave your house for whatever reason, that we still can participate in the council. And I agree with the staff. Okay, move to the secondary bylaw number 20-83, being a bylaw to amend the procedure bylaw to allow for electronic participation by members of council in the first, second, third reading, property signs. Engineer, Hershey, or Booker. And moving seconder, the bylaw number 20-76, being the confirmatory bylaw for the first, second, third reading, and property sign two. Sarah, Leonard, all in favor? And moving second, council adjourned meeting at 8:26. Meet again on December 17th, 2020, 7:30. Let's be living. Okay. Thank you, folks.
You, sir.
The address is donate-to-terracelodge.ca.
Take care, Brett.
Donate to Terrace Lodge.